Beefs are bound to happen. As long as humans here in the world, you're going to have beefs. It happens every time period, every city, every industry. For example, in the 80s and 90s in sports, Michael Jordan hated Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas hated Michael Jordan. And once Michael Jordan retired, he started hating Scottie Pippen. Friends who then became enemies. And that's interesting because that's typically how it starts. Friends become enemies. And that's common in the world of acting and comedy. You see, when everybody is doing comedy at first, they may be colleagues, they may be friends, but then certain things get in the way and then people start falling out. And some of the greatest comedians of all time, at least in the last 20 years, have been on public display on podcasts in the last few years, especially on Shannon Sharpe's podcast. We've seen Ricky Smiley, we've seen Steve Harvey, we've seen Cedric The Entertainer. But I believe we can all agree, none of them, all of them together wouldn't be Katt Williams. And this is me as a Cedric The Entertainer fan. I like Cedric The Entertainer a whole lot, but he's not Katt Williams. So when Katt Williams came on the podcast, or at least when it was released a few days ago, Mom started going through the internet, the black internet. And we're going to talk about some of the people we talked about. Michael Blackson, of course. He got on Earthquake. He said Earthquake couldn't read. Can I get a ooh sound effect? He talked about Diddy wanting to be a cheek clapper. Booty clapping sounds. But most importantly, he talked about Kevin Hart. And that is what I'm really going to focus on right now. And even when I get to Steve Harvey. But he talked about Kevin Hart mostly. But let me get to Steve Harvey. Rewind, Nemo. Steve Harvey, to me, is very untalented as a comedian, and he's known as a hater. Now, I'm trying to play too much of what Katt Williams said over on the Shannon Sharpe podcast for copyright reasons, but he also said Steve Harvey's a liar, Steve Harvey's a hater. No, he wasn't broke. No, he wasn't poor. Even back in the 80s and 90s, he was getting $3,000 a show cash, and every chick that he said he was married to, he's always praising that lady for her success. He said it about his first wife, same thing about his second wife, and now he's saying he owes all his success to the third wife. But he ain't the only person that says that Steve Harvey is a liar. Let's check out what Corey Holcomb had to say.
Last time I hosted a show, Earthquake told the promoter, let the other nigga bring me up because I know why. I'm rocking this mother. And then you got to go up after that? Stop.
Hammer time.
I heard too much about Steve. From other coming.
Steve a hater, dog. He is not finna let you shine, dog. When I was a young comic, that cutting my time down to 5 minutes because I was too funny.
Wow.
He did JJ bad.
What'd he do to JJ?
He damn near said, JJ damn said he like blackballed him a little bit.
I believe. I ain't never heard nothing good about no mother Steve Harvey. You got on your name, and I've had experiences with you, and I already know. If you was around me, you would be uncomfortable because I'm not going to fold in front of you.
Now, we're going to get back to that in a minute because this isn't the first time we've heard Katt Williams or Corey Holcomb or anybody in the industry say these things about these people. Now, he also mentioned Ricky Smiley, that Ricky Smiley did a lot of lying on the show, saying that, he was supposed to be Money Mike and all of this. But what I want to get to is I want to talk about what he had to say about Kevin Hart.
Guy Torrey did a beautiful special about the Comedy Store and Fat Tuesday, where he said that Steve and Cedric and Kevin Hart and Tiffany Haddish came through there and made... All lies. Steve and Cedric never performed at the Comedy Store at all. Tiffany was only seen at the Laugh Factory. In 15 years in Hollywood, no one in Hollywood has a memory of going to a sold-out Kevin Hart show, there being a line for him ever getting a standing ovation at any comedy club. He already had his deals when he got here. Have we heard of a comedian that came to L.A. and in his first year in L.A. he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is? Maybe people don't understand the definitions of these words. He just did his documentary with Chris Rock where he shows you that his whole upbringing in comedy was on the East Coast.
Yeah, it was.
So how simultaneously was he here in Los Angeles doing the same thing? It didn't happen. It didn't happen. And I hate to seem like a petty individual for picking apart lies, but Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you.
So basically Kevin Hart is an industry plant, right? And let me kind of read what Kevin Hart said. He says this: "Gotta get that anger up out you, champ. It's honestly sad. In the meantime, please enjoy my movie trailer to my next film, Lift, which will be dropping on Netflix in 8 days. There's a moment in the trailer where Gugu Botharoth says they really love you, and I know she's talking about Katt. Mark your calendars, world. This one is special." Now, this is very interesting because if Katt Williams wasn't anybody, then why are they responding? Because if it was me making these claims, they wouldn't respond. But it's Katt Williams, they gotta respond. Cedric The Entertainer, who is known for stealing jokes, started saying that, he's too old for this and, things like that. But he's not addressing the claim. He did steal his joke. I saw it. He stole his joke. And the same thing with Ricky Smiley. He's like, look, man, I just want the best for Katt Williams. So the question that I want to talk about now, is this hating? Is this jealousy? Or is this the truth? Here's what I believe. Everybody ain't hating. I believe that what Katt Williams is doing is the truth. Katt Williams in his pinky finger, and I like Cedric The Entertainer, right? So I'll leave him off. And I even like Ricky Smiley for a certain extent. But let's just be honest, Katt Williams is on a whole nother level. Earthquake, I like him too. Michael Blackson is not that funny. So there's no reason why he needs to hate on any of these people, even Kevin Hart. But I believe he's talking about things that happen because people like Steve Harvey, they're in the industry. But in Hollywood and places like that, it's not always the person that makes the most money or gets the most jobs that actually becomes the wealthiest. It's also about the person who might kiss the most ass or who might be willing to hate on somebody else. And Steve Harvey is a hater. He's definitely not even funnier than Corey Holcomb. And we already know that that's true. I believe that what Katt Williams did is he really came out and exposed a lot of things that people have been thinking about. And of course, I'm seeing people saying like, oh man, they shouldn't do this as brothers, man. They should come together. Stop the show. Man, listen, I'm gonna tell you, dealing with I'm just gonna be honest, dealing with some of these brothers out here and in the black community, you can try to work with them, you can try to do something with them, but I'm telling you, unless you put the heat on some of these Negroes, they're not gonna respect you. And this is what needs to happen. Sometimes shit gotta get funky. Sometimes it gotta hit the fan. Sometimes it gotta get called out. And if people don't like it, everybody not gonna get along. We are men. Conflict sometimes is necessary. And beef is going to be necessary. It's people on YouTube right now that, I might not speak on, but, hey, I've conflicted with them and it's necessary. It's bound to happen and everybody not going to like you. And some people just need to be called out for the fake stuff that they're doing. And that's what this man is doing. And I honestly believe he ain't got no reason to be lying on them or lying on anybody else because again, some of these other things that people are saying, I've heard some other folks say that by just searching celebrity. I just played one of the clips. Corey Holcomb is another person that comes out and says things in the same way or the same vein as Katt Williams. Let me also talk about people like Corey Holcomb and Katt Williams. The talent with them is undeniable. But here's what they're not willing to do. They're not willing to sell their soul just to be in Hollywood. They're not willing to sell their soul just to be up there with the rest of those people. They're not willing to do that. And to get promoted in Hollywood, it ain't about your talent. It's about how much soul, or as Katt Williams said, whole booty clapping sounds that you're willing to sell. And I mean, we all know the industry is dusty. Corey Holcomb has been said it, Katt Williams has said it. And that's why people love him so much. And again, I've seen all the comments. Everybody is on there talking about these brothers need to get it together. They need to stop beefing. They need to come, and shut up. Let these dudes fight. Let them fight it out. They've been not getting along for years. It's too far gone. People didn't hate it on other people. You know what I'm saying? And people didn't did dirty things. So it ain't gonna never be cool. And sometimes it's gonna be like that. Sometimes it's gonna be beef. Sometimes it's gonna be war. Sometimes it's gonna be on site. You know what I mean? And sometimes it's gonna be to the point where, okay, well, we'll just leave each other alone and go our separate ways. And that's the best opportunity too. But he had to address it. They the ones that came onto the podcast and mentioned him. He came on here and ethered all of them. He done broke the internet, and I say good job, because all of them right now running and going to their Instagrams and Twitter responding to it because they know it's true. That's why they're doing it. If it was lying, they wouldn't need no reason to respond to it. So guys, what do you think? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.